Hey, my name is Shannon Farrington, and today I just want to take just a few minutes of your time and talk about sexual orientation, specifically what it's like to be a bisexual person. No, sexual orientation is definitely a hot topic these days with same-sex marriage being in the news and whatnot. But it seems like bisexuality is something that you don't hear about too often, and I'm not sure if that's because people don't really understand what that means, or people don't think it really exists, or whatever the reason may be. But I just want to share, just for a few minutes, just share some of my own experience and just my own thoughts and insight. And maybe it can just give you something to think about, or even give you a different perspective. Um, uh, but for the past 13 years, I have been in a relationship with another female. Prior to that, I had dated both male and female. Even at one point, I dated a guy for maybe 3.5 years or so. We were actually engaged to be married, and that didn't work out. Um, but people seem to think that either you want to date everybody at the same time and have sex with multiple people all the time, and that's really not the case. Or on the different perspective, people think that you're just curious and you don't really know what you want. And for me, that's really not the case either. I don't think that's the case with most bisexual people. I'm 35 years old, so there's really nothing for me to be curious about at this point in my life. Um, but that stigma is out there, and I've actually um, had females who were a little hesitant to date me because they thought, you're bisexual, you obviously just don't know what you want. And it's actually quite the opposite, to an extent. For me, it's kind of the same with any person when you're you're single and you're trying to find someone. You have your list of things that are important to you, and a bisexual person's the same way. You have your sense of humor and your eye color, your hair color, whatever it is that you're specifically seeking out in another person. Um, but for me, you know, some people, they don't have to put on the list. It just is, in the back of their mind. They're looking for, that guy could be looking for that specific female. That female could be looking for that specific guy. The difference with me is, I have that list of things that I was looking for, in a partner, spouse, significant other. The only difference is, in the back of my head, I didn't necessarily know if it would come in the form of a male or a female. Um, and that really didn't matter to me. Even now, even if I were to end the relationship, or she were to end the relationship, um, I could not honestly tell you if I would end up with another female or a male at this point, and either would be possible. I know that I can have a healthy, happy relationship with both sexes. I've done that before, and some people don't understand that, and understand that, how does that even happen? But it does, and for me, it's just finding that person that makes you, want to get up in the morning, and that you have that chemistry with, that spark with, you know, and 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 what have you. And not to bring religion, because that would be another whole half an hour at least half an hour conversation. But I remember before I got into this relationship, because I do consider myself a spiritual person, and I remember I did pray. I was at that point in my life where I really wanted to find the right person, and I remember praying, I'm really ready to meet that person, and for me, that person just happened to come along in the form of a female. Um, the next time, if that were to happen, it could come in the form of a male, and that gets confusing to some people, and people, like I said, don't understand that, and I'm really just an open-minded person, and obviously it's more than just being open-minded. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you're homosexual, heterosexual, you're not open-minded by any means, but there's obviously DNA and such in there, but I just really think I, was born with that capability of falling in love and having a healthy relationship with either sex. Um, and I'm sure, like I said, there's some DNA involved in that, and I really do think people misunderstand that, but at the same time, I think more people than not maybe have a small inkling of bisexuality in them, whether they, act on it or it's there and they choose not to act on it. But I think as little as you hear about it, I think to an extent, maybe it's more in the minds of people than we realize sometimes. Just the thought of if you could be in a relationship and be happy with the opposite sex and the same sex, obviously not at the same time. That's something completely different. But anyway, hopefully maybe I gave you just, a little something to think about today. Something that, you don't hear of, like I said, very often. Maybe I could give you some insight to that. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes of your day to listen to my story. Thank you.